Hi everyone, welcome back to our session. Just, just give me a minute, I'll be sharing my screen. Could you please let me know, are you able to see my screen and able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Able to see, sir.
Okay, thank you. So in the last session we have seen what is HTML and how it will be and what are all the content modules we'll be having in the HTML. And I said like I'll be sending you text file, right? I will attach here. Mhm. Okay, I think we are not able to touch. Okay, so I'll send it through a proper channel. So which is the HTML will be having all these things. So I'll be sending this HTML script. I mean the notes of the HTML, and then I'll be sending the CSS for today, and kind of. So it will be receiving you within different files. Okay. So today we will be discussing about CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. So these style sheets are useful to define your structure of your web pages, which is like where the HTML, which is only the content or the information which you want to display in the browser. But here, when it comes to the alignment, coloring, and all the style part will be taken care by the CSS. So defaultly, every page will be having a default CSS, which is called as a user agent style sheets. For example, if I use some content over here, and if I open this page, so this page, if I inspect, if you can see here, all this body will be having a default styles over here. If you can see, the body is having a display property and margin, and which is a user agent style sheet, right? So which is defaultly will be having some styles over here, which is his for head. Why it is not displaying over here head part? The head part will be having a default display none property. So if you are using any display property, then the head will be able to see but show, but we don't recommend to use it. So just like that. If you can see the content don't have any styles. So likewise, like we can use many number of elements. So if you can see the content, if I put it inside and paragraph, if you can see the paragraph will be having some default styles for this. So these are all coming from the user agent style sheet, which is inside your browser. So which is how it has to respond to the HTML pages. It will be defined inside the browsers. In every browser, it will be there. So as per the W3C consortium, W3C means World Wide Web Consortium, it will be defined. So which is like, and also as the scripting languages will be defined from ECMA and the HTML and whatever the web programming language standards will be defined by the W3C. So all these things, which is for the browser, the paragraph should be the display block and all these properties. And H1, if we use the H1 over here, so it will be like H1 would be having some size. If you can see the display font size, everything. So that will be defaultly coming out here. Okay, so now what we have to do is like we need to have to implement our custom tags to make this CSS, make this web page more efficient and more better. So for that, like we'll be using the CSS to define in our web pages. So CSS refers to the cascading style sheets, where the style sheets refers to the sheets where it will be having all the style rules, and cascading is the behavior, which means applying one on another. so which is it is the behavior, and this behavior adding to the style sheets, which is just giving the insight of types how it should be and how it is working with the HTML. So generally, we'll be having three types of CSS. So how it will be is I just show you in the practical way, then we will see in the theoretical way how it will be working fine. Okay. Now I just want to make use of this particular content to be colored with a red color. So if you can see here, this H1 content, and there is an element style property over here. So if you can see it over here, this is element style. Now I'm just mentioning to use some color over here. Now if I have applied the color red, and if you can see the content has been turned into red, and if you can see it over here, the H1 inside your browser elements, if you can see there is a style attribute has been created, and inside the style attribute will be having the color red. Like that, if you want any other thing like background color is peach or whatever the color you like, you can make use of it. You can see that. So background color and this one. So all these things where it is appearing inside the style attribute, and it will be like this. So for the time being, same thing we can apply over here. If you can refresh, it will go up because I'm just trying it in the browser, right, to check whether how the content it is working, right? So now it is the time to go into your HTML, and we have to change that elements, right? And we have to make use of that style attribute, and then inside that we can make use of what are the colors, background. If you can see all these references will be coming from there, so we don't have to bother about what to use over here, the spelling mistakes, everything it will be taken care of over here. So now if I am using the style, and it like if it is getting like this, okay. So now if I have more H1s, so what we have to do, we have to, right, like this we have different H1s are there. So all these are on H1s. But all these are so what if sometimes like I'm intending to change some color to something else. I can pick a color from here, and I can shade anything if you can see over here. So I just want to give the shade, right? And this is in the RGB, and you can change to any, right? Yesterday we have discussed about color side. So these are the different colors. Colors will be in RGB format, which is red, green, and blue. And if you this is the hexadecimal format, which is like we'll be having the 6 digits. So in the 6 digits, we'll be having first two with the red, and second two with the blue, and second two with the green, and third two with the blue, which indicates the mixture of red, green, blue, and it will be like this. So now, if you can see it over here, I am changing this color from the for the top to here. And what if you just want to make use of the H1 all in one style, which is like if I change this color over here, it has to change over there. So for that, we need to have to make use of the internal CSS or external CSS for that. So if you are writing like this, the style attribute inside your HTML element, that will be called as an inline CSS or inline styling. So we'll be implementing the inline style using style attribute inside the element tag, element or tag, and it will be like this. If you can see, I have used the style background color, color white, everything over here. So what we are giving over here, so for everything, if you can see, there is a color and there is a value. So which is this is a property name and this is a property value, kind of. So just like key and values and property names and property values, kind of. So just like there is a name and value kind of pair it is there. So just like we have to apply the rules accordingly with the name and value page. Okay. So and then when we are making use of it, the inline CSS is used to only style the elements within line and it will not go across that particular line. So which is it is limited to this particular line only. So which is for this element only. And if you want to style for everything, so which is like whatever the H1 we are writing over here inside the page, we can style it by using the style tag. Okay. And inside the style tag, we need to have to write the styles. So for that, we need to have to apply the CSS rules, style rules. So style rules where we are getting it from. So if you can see it over here in the browser, there is H1, it will be giving up like this, and there are the curly brackets over here, and there are some properties listed over this. So this is called the style rule, and style rules will be having first part, whatever the H1P, all these are coming right. So those are called selectors, and this is the property name, and property name will be assigned to the property value. So we can have all the contains one or more selectors within a declaration block. If you can see this curly bracket starting from here and here will be called as a declaration block, and we will be defining the properties inside it. And each property name assigning to the property value is nothing but a declaration statement. So all the declarations will be inside this declaration block, which is called as a style container. We'll be using. So for this, we'll be using the selectors. For that selectors, if you want to use, for example, H1, for H1, I just want to use all these things, right? So I just want to use the color blue and background color. It should be, you can choose any colors or you can make use of the colors like that. So which is relevant to you, which was given to you in your corporate website. Okay, so in the corporate, what it will be doing is like they'll be giving you the color codes and also they'll be asking you to do with it. So now if you can see, I will remove all these things. So if you can see, I just remove this style from here. I'm leaving for the last one and the rest all the things I'll be changing it. If you can see it over here, all the others, which is H1 content, H1, H1, have been applied with this style. If you can see, this is applying from your index.html from 8 part, 8 line, which is from here. This is the 8th one. So this is the line where it is applying the style rule. So this is how it will be applying. So the internal styling will make your page, which is whatever the elements you are having in different levels. So you will be using the elements not only one time, it will be using in different things, right? So it's just like whatever the style you have to apply constantly, and for the page you will be using the internal CSS, and that will be applying for all the elements. Likewise, we have many options to apply the CSS over here. So in this case, the style tool contains the selector, property name, and the property values, and it will be all listed inside a declaration block, and we'll be defining the properties inside it. So now if you are defining the internal CSS will be also called as an embedded CSS. So we'll implement the internal CSS using the style element inside a head element, and which is we can make use of the style, and we can also use the type inclusive text or CSS. Uh, if you are not using that also, that will be fine. If you can see it over here, I haven't used, so we can make use of it. And if you can see the priority levels over here, if you can see the priority levels. So this inline CSS is still dominating. If you can see, as the last H1 I am using the inline styling, and rest the three H1s I have used internal styling. But if you can see the last H1, if I'm selecting over here, it is striking off your internal CSS and it is coming with your inline CSS. Then it comes to inline CSS is having more priority than your internal CSS. That is what the meaning over here, right? Which is whatever it is near to you, it will be having more priority, and what it is far to you, and it is having less priority. And if you want to prioritize those style routes, we need to have to take care of something else, right? So that we will see now. So now if I have only one page, I can use the style attribute, style element like this, and we can list out the styles over here. So for example, if you want to make use of a paragraph, I'll be showing you another paragraphs and some para content over here as just using. And I just want to use this para starting over here like this. So which H1 is an element, P is an element, and what type of selectors? This part is a selectors part, right? So H1 is a selector here, and P is a selector over here. If you can see, the elements all become the selectors inside your CSS. So for the P, I just want to use some color orange. I just use. So if you can see, it will be the content, the what are the paragraph content, it will be changing into the orange kind of thing, and that will be applied for all the paragraphs, whatever the paragraphs, how many paragraphs if you want to make use of it. So for example, I have multiple paragraphs like this, and all the paragraphs will be listed with the orange. Okay. So that is how the CSS it will work. So now in the case I have multiple pages. So I just want to apply for all the pages. So if I do some changes over here, it has to copy and it has to paste over multiple pages. For that reason, we need to have to implement an external CSS which will be saved with, so name can be anything. I just taking with the style, and that extension should be in .css. So if you use the .css, whatever the styles you are applying over here, I'm just cutting from here and I'm just pasting it over here for the time being. And how do we make use of the style sheet? Because this is the Excel sheet, and here we have used the style attribute. And if you want to make use of this external CSS into your page, we just have to use the link tag. So link will be having the href, and href will be having the path. So for example, I have the style sheet like this, and then there is a rel attribute where it will be giving you the style sheet like this. Now I will do change some colors over here. I'll be making use of this into hexadecimal code and with some dark color. Okay, so that we can see some change over there. So if we can see some para content has been changed to some dark color, and if we can click on it, whatever the color code we have used out there, that will be appearing over here. So from where it is coming up, it is from style.css, which we have given over there. Right, so this is how the internal CSS and external CSS it matters. And now if you can see, still the H1 is dominating with the inline. So which is like inline is having more priority than your external also. Right, and between inline, internal and external, how we have to prioritize. So for that, what I do is like I will style also, I will write the style, and then I'll be using the paragraph, and the paragraph for that I'll be using the color, which is I will use some other green colors. Okay, dark green I'll be using. I'll be saving this one. Now if you can see, all these paragraphs has been turned into dark green. and it is dominating the styles of the this one. So which is like this is an external CSS style.css, and we have linked it out, and if you can see this is typed off and this is working fine. And now if you can see the dark green is appearing like this. And if I use any paragraph or specifically on the second or the third paragraph, I use some style, and inside that I'll be using color with the blue wallet. Okay. Now you can see that this is has been appearing over here. Now if you can see in the previous thing, external CSS is having less priority, and internal CSS will be having the second level priority, and then top priority will be having the inline CSS. So when it comes to the priority defining, we need to have to make use of this statement where inline CSS is having more priority than internal and external CSS, and internal CSS is having more priority than external CSS. But when it comes to like if you want to prioritize on top, so if your paragraph color should work with a top priority, which is like I just want to make it as an important, so I'll also change color to something else as it is not looking good. So I just use some color like this. You can choose any colors over here. And if you see here in this page, everything will be changed to the whatever the color I have used. If you can see, everything got striked off because I have applied the important over here. So which is on top priority. If you want to prioritize the CSS on top priority, we'll be making use of this important so that it will be on the top priority. It will eliminate your inline CSS, and it will eliminate your internal CSS, and these kind of important properties, I mean it will be useful for the internal and external CSS only. So not for the inline CSS, we don't have to apply that important. So to make a style tool highly prioritized, we use important in the specific style tool, and it will be like this. So we can also see here this is what. And now these are the three types of CSS, or we can say it as a styles or a CSS. So there are three types of CSS: inline CSS, external CSS, internal CSS. Internal CSS will also be called out as a embedded CSS over here. And when it comes to the selectors, we have the selectors P, H1 and all, right? So we can also define the selectors with these are the selectors, type of selectors where we can use. So now we have seen that this H1, P and also, which is like all the already existing elements out there, right? So body, H1, P, all these things. So we are writing for those elements, right? So those are called element or type selectors. So type selectors are the most commonly used selectors, and the type selectors are which is targets the HTML elements, what elements will be using kind of. So now we have another selectors, and we'll be discussing those things like class selectors and ID selectors. So class selectors will be using allows us to style an attribute that has a class attribute regardless of their position in the document. So for example, I just want to give some this style is there, right? So I just use this as a special style, special heading. For that special heading, from now onwards, I'm just removing this style from here, and I'm just applying from the style.css, which is the best practice we can make use of it. So I'm just using dot special head, and I'm just using that color over here, or else I just use the color red and background color black. Okay. So now this is the special head. So what I have defined is a special head with a dot. Okay. So classes will be representing with the dot, and we'll be using with the class attribute. For example, for this content, I'll be using the class equals to special head, whatever the whatever name you are using it over here. Just copy this and you can paste it over here in the class. So this is the special head and it will become the special head over here. If you can see here, this special head, it is coming from the style.css and it will be applied like this. And this is a class. Classes will be written by using this dot. So just like if you can see, if you use the class attribute in your HTML, you have to define with a dot whatever the name you are using and you have to make use of it. Now, whatever the class you are using it out here, you can copy that for whatever the content you will be using. So for example, in the first H1 and other H1s, you are using this H1 special head. If you can see the H1 special head and this one H1 special head, will be having the black background with the red color content. So this will be applying for this, not for everyone. So if you are using for the element or type selectors, it is applying for all the elements. But here, when you are using the classes, it is limited to the particular style and particular elements in which we are using the class attribute with that name can also change accordingly. So, which is like if you are changing at one place, it is also changing at all the places. For example, if you want to remove that dark, this one, so we can also use that, which is dark. So the red becomes little darker, and if you can see the color code of this one, it is appearing like this. So this is the class selector. So just like the class selector, we'll be having an ID selector. So ID selectors allows us to style an HTML element that has an ID attribute regardless of this position. So the class and IDs are mostly they'll be same and but only the difference is like the major difference that IDs can only be applied once per page. So which is like where classes can be used as many times as on the page as needed. But IDs, why it will not work? It will work, but when it comes to the ID should be unique per page. It should not be, you know, multiple times as it has to be. So which is like you cannot use the ID for the multiple times, and ID selector should be the only one. So for example, I just want to use the ID over here, so which is like ID with demo. So I'm just using the demo over here, and I'm just using the demo with hash demo. Okay, and I'm using some random color for this one, which is like an um, what we can use. This is a black in color, and the background color it should be appearing with we'll turn out the colors in like this. I just use the coral over here, and whatever the demo I'll be using. So this is the demo. Demo will be applying for this content, and it will be appearing like this. Okay, so this is the demo, or just like it is coming in the hash. So hash character will be using for IDs, and dots will be using for the classes. So the major difference is that IDs can only be applied once per page, while classes can be used as many times as on a page as needed. So it will be like. And next comes to like a descendant selector. If you want to apply a style for the selectors that are used for the selectors that are the descendants of another element, what is a descendant? For example, in our case, if you can see there is a H1 and the content, it is there, right? What I'll be using some multiple levels of code over here. So I'll be having some div, and inside the div, I'll be having some paragraph, and inside the paragraph some text is there, some text para, and for this para I'll be using some b here, and this para I'm just including inside it, and I haven't applied any style for this one, but if you can see this is coming with the default paragraph, right? So I just want to apply this para to be highlighted with some other color. So what I have to do is like only I have to apply for this one. But I have a lot many other things like this. Okay, there are multiple divs will be there. If you can see, there are multiple divs with para and all. So I just want to apply for this particular para, which is there inside your this whatever the style we have ID. For example, I just use the ID equals to demo. So I just use the paragraph ID with demo. If you can see, the paragraph has been turned into the whatever the H1 style. But if you can see, this H1 is like this one. If you can see, the color black is not dominating, which is this is important where the paragraph is having, so just it is just getting it. So what if two important text clashes over here? For example, I just use this black color to be important. Okay. Now you see, whenever we have the two important tags over here, it will be taking care of your ID as a priority, which is like this is an important, and the color black is applying for this one. Now you just want to use this highlighting of this particular para to something else. So whatever I just I will be not for the all the paragraphs. If you can see, all the other paragraphs are calm, and it will be like this: some content, some text para, and all. Only this is applying, right? So now what I want to do is, so for this div under the demo under the B, so this has to be styled. So for example, I just write div, after that the demo, and after that whatever the B over here, I'm just applying the color as white. So then the background is white in color. So the background is here, it is orange or some other color, coral color, and we can see the this only highlighted text over here. If you can see in the PID demo, and if we are using it, you can see the color white is applying, and we can make use of this para to be highlighted with the only specific color. So not other paragraphs will be getting it, only particular paragraph, whatever we'll be writing up to some extent level, it will be working. So it's just like how it is, the selectors are used to select the elements that are descendants of another element, which is this is descendant of this B is a descendant of P, and this P is a descendant of D. So which is like descendants means which is the subchilds or whatever you think like this is the root element, these are the child elements, and for this element this is a child element kind of thing. So if you want to apply up to that level, so you need to have to make use of this descendant selectors. So likewise, I have given some examples, and you can also see that for UL, LIs, and also if you want to apply some styles, it would be like this. Okay, so next comes to like we will be having attribute selectors. So whatever the attribute selectors, for example, the CSS attribute selector is used when we want to style multiple HTML elements that have the same attribute or attribute values. The attribute selectors are by default case sensitive and can be written in the square brackets like this. So for example, if you want to use some class para and all, so which is like I have used it like this, right? So if you can see this style and class, it will be like this, right? So if I want to make use of whatever the classes you will be having, so all this class, I'll be using some style. So which is like I just want to color with white, and background color is um, black. So I just want to make use of this class over here. If you can see, whatever we have applied. So what are all the classes will be having? So this is having the class. So if you can see, this is having class, and this is having the class. You can see it is just dominating whatever the classes will be having. So whenever we have the class attribute, so just it will be getting into it. Even for the paragraphs, if we have the class, so we don't have the classes over here, but if I use some class, so anything, so I'll be using something over here, which is not defined, which is not defined. If you can see that class is appearing like this, which is like um, and here, if you can see, this class attribute will be having. But the paragraph, whatever the element selector is dominating with this color, but it is just striking it off. But if you can see, this class is applying. I haven't given anything else, right? Only the class, because it will search for where this class is there in your HTML, and it will add those styles to that particular class. Right. So this is called how we are using the attributes is called attribute selectors, and these are for the attributes. Okay. So this is how your attributes will be having. And we will discuss the pseudo selectors just a bit later. So now we will be seeing the group selectors. Group selectors will be useful to group up your styles. So how it will be like, which is like if you are having the same styles for the multiple elements or multiple classes, we'll be making use of this group selector. Just give me a minute. So we are discussing about group selectors, right? So group selectors, we can style those elements in a group. So just like, for example, if you are having the common styles over here, so I don't find any common over here. For example, if you can see this is white and this is color white and those two are the white, right? So if you want to make use of the common color, so you can uh, list out over here. For example, I just want to use for dev and demo b comma for the class. So whatever you just want to use it for those, which is a color is a white. So all the common styles you can write it over here. So I can remove from this one, and I can also remove from this one, which is this is the only thing we can make use of it. And if you want to use this other colors also, for example, for the demo also, if you want to make use of this color, so I can list out over here the comma and like this, and I can remove this black color from here. So we can use like this, and we can prioritize accordingly. And if you can see, this is whenever we are making use of this is the descendant selector, this is an attribute selector, and this is a uh, you know um, this ID selector. And you can also make use of, for example, if you want to use this paragraph to be for to apply the style, you can also use that. So anything is fine. If you want to see here, all this will be appeared like this. So whatever text content. So if I go here to the demo or for what we have applied for the demo, right? Not demo, yeah, for the demo also we can use. For ID demo, if you can see that the color white is appearing, and for other things like classes, also it is applying the white color. If you can see the color, it is applying the white color. So like that, like multiple styles, you can use it in a single shot. So which is like by using the comma separated, you can list out the common styles and everything. So which is like a group selector, you can make use of it. And next comes to like a universal selector. Universal selector, if you want to use any common style for your pages, which is it has to apply for everything. So which is like it will be used like this. So for example, if you want to apply all the elements with the same background color or something like fonts and all, I'll be using like this. For example, I'll be listing out over here. You can list out anywhere, but I'll be listing out with the asterisk and just writing some font family. I'm just preferring some font family. Now it is Times New Roman Ramon. I think it will be like some like this, right? So I'll be changing this to some other family, which is I can go with um, can we go with Vedana? This is a little you can see it's some change over here. If you can see that content has been changed to something else. Right, if you can see all this, it will be font family, and this is the style it will be applied. And I can also check that. So this style for all the elements, if you want to apply, that is the thing you need to have to do. So this is the universal styling, and universal selector will be used to select all the elements in the page, and we will be applying the styles for those. Okay, so that comes to the universal style, and now we are back to this particular pseudo selectors, right? So pseudo selectors, if you want to apply anything like a mouse over or any other effects on focus, hmm, any questions? Okay. Can you go on mute, please? Those who are not on mute, please go on mute. Please, please unmute yourself. Okay. So pseudo selectors will be giving you an event. So which is like, for example, if you want to make use of the events like the mouse over focus and anything. So which is like we can make use of that pseudo selectors. The pseudo selectors will be like here, for example, I will be making use of any paragraph, for example. Um, for example, for this demo, okay? For this uh, demo, and if you can see that, it will be coming like this. So I just use a hover. Hover is for that one, so just like it will be hover means mouse over. Okay, like that we'll be having different effects. So just we can change accordingly. So I just making use of this hover to background color. So which is like whenever mouse over on it, it should be the coral background should be in a black color. So it's just like that. So what I just do is this is the right. So as you can see, this is just changing it to black color at this point of time. So just like that. So and this is not a cross, which is ID is demo. So this is demo. And hover on it, it will not. it has to work, which is like ID, whatever we'll be using. So the demo we'll be using for the hover, it has to affect like this. And like this, if you can see, there is a space it was appeared, so it is not working. So now you can see here, is whenever I'm mouse hovering on it, it is just changing to the background color. You can see here. So this is how the hover effect. So all this will be coming into the pseudo things, which is like we'll be having focus, hover, and active, all these things. So where you can see the style. So if you can see here, it is not appearing, right? So if you can see here, there is a hover, and you can see that the force element state, which is active, hover, all these things. If I select the hover, you can see the hover colors over here. I mean, hover things over here. And if you are not selecting this one, you cannot see the hover styles over here. You cannot see, right? If you click on the hover, and if you see what are the hover active focus, you can check it over here. So now the hover will be appearing like this, right? So that is how. If you can see the hover, if I select it, it will be turning off and turning on kind of thing. So these are called pseudo selectors. So now if you can see here, all the selectors, there are seven type one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and then universal. It is eight selectors will be using. So there are eight types of selectors we'll be discussing with style to work with, and these eight selectors will be used in your program to for efficient styling and all. And when it comes to applying the styles, we'll be having a box model where it comes to the CSS box model. And CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. For example, if you're applying over here, and if you are selecting one element, and if you can come to the here, there's a box it will be having. So if you can see, this is a box, and where the blue color indicates the content and padding, border, and margin. So it will be like this. So CSS box model indicates all your content to be in box. So this will treat your content or the elements as a box, and it will be useful to control that box according to the positions and how you want to display that, what are the borders, margins, and all these things. So this CSS box model will be having four important parameters to have to consider with, which is it consists of margins, borders, padding, and content. So just like, so if you can see in the short form MVPC, so just like content is the lowest one, so where the content will be surrounded by a padding, and padding will be surrounded by a border, and border will be surrounded by a margin. So in which way we can control and we can make use of the properties, CSS properties to show the content accordingly. So where the content of the box with the text and images appear, and padding clears an area around the content, and it is space between the content and the border, and border that goes around the padding and the content, and margin clears an area outside of the border. And the CSS box model allows to add a border around the elements and to define the space between the elements. And how it will work, I'll show you a simple example rather than confusing with all the CSS. And I'm just deleting all the CSS, and I'm just making some simple day with text kind of thing. So it will be good for us to understand. So now these are the two things, right? So I just want to use h1 and div tags over here, so which is h1, and I just want to use for both the things I'll be using the color. I use like this. Now what I'm doing is I just want to frame this content. For example, I just want to apply some margins over here. For example, this is the h1 tag, and for this h1, what I want to do is like I just want to put some margins over here. So I just want to use some margin 30 pixel around. So now this is margin 30 pixel and the padding is 20 pixel, and then I'll be using the border for this one. Border of 5 pixel solid and with a gray. So border should be what color and what format and how much pixel. Now I can see this H1 accordingly. So if I'm selecting it, the blue indicates the content and the green indicates the padding, and there is a border around it. So the border, whatever the gray color you can see, that is a border, and the margin, which is like the outer margin, outer space of this content, which is the orange color one. If you can see, this is the so how it look like is this. So whatever I have given out here, I'll be controlling accordingly. Okay, and also you can control whatever the widths you can see. So which is like I just want to use it for 50% of the content, or you can control accordingly. So which is like I just want to show into 30% of the content, and it will be like this. So you can control how you want to make use of it, like this. So if you can apply these styles, and if you can go here and for the H1, I just use this one. Okay, then it will be applied. Now for the H1, this will be applied on. Right. So you can make use of this content like this. So just like this is like this. And if you want to make use of the div block, so for example, div is just it is just a content. And if you are having any common things in mind, like you can make use of it. And if I want to use the margin as uh, 10 pixel, or else I can give like this margin left is 30 pixel and margin right is 30 pixel, and border I'll be giving some padding is 10 pixel around, and I'll be using some borders for this one. So for the entire div block, I'll be using 1 pixel solid and gray color, and I can also separate this top. So margin top is 10 pixel, which is like I just want to use some space between these two. This is the space you will be getting. Now we can highlight this one. You can able to see that what is the how it is looking like. So which is like I have given the individual styles for this one. So which is margin left, margin right, margin top, and if you can see, this is the one. And then the padding is around 10 pixel. You can also use this individual thing. If you can see here, if you drop down over here, there are some all these things. It will be appearing like this: 10 pixel, 10 pixel, 10 pixel, kind of. And also, if you can see the border will be having different all properties, and all these things are. I'll be combining into a simple thing like this. So now you can structure your content accordingly. So which is like if you want to show a page accordingly with the headers, navigation, and the content, all these things you can make use of the styles with a proper alignment and all. So try to figure out a page and try to do a page with this box model and the styles applying for that, and try to achieve what. So you can see the check the properties how it will be. You can check the display property, and you can use any other properties like this. If you can see, if you change the display property here, it will be changing into this screen. So if you can see, this is the inline block, and this is inline, and this is inline flex, inline table, list item. All these things you can uh, make use of it over here. So likewise, we will be having different styles, and the styles will be having a lot of other impact it will be using. So and then in the next session we'll be making use of the bootstrap. So if it is useful, then we will go ahead with this, and if you are not interested to go for the responsiveness, then we can leave it and we will continue with the JavaScript. So as this is the limited precision, so we'll be concentrating on the main things over here. So, which is, I just want to concentrate on the JavaScript, and I will go through the JavaScript. Or if you want the Bootstrap, so we will take another session for this one tomorrow. So, uh, that's up to you. Just poll here in the chat window. If you want Bootstrap, I just cover how to make use out of it, and then we will see. Or else we'll straightly go to the JavaScript. What do you say? You can type your response over the chat window. I got one response. Any other people required? Okay, okay. How about others? Okay. So we'll see like in the next session we will be covering with the bootstrap and how to make use of the bootstrap basics and all. So I'll be covering in the next session. So just I'll be showing you how what are all the bootstrap things, how we have to make use of the bootstrap things and what is the grid system and all. We'll discuss in the next session. And then after that bootstrap we'll go to the JavaScript. Okay. So that is how. So in the meanwhile, what you have to do is like just have to define a page and you have to structure it well with the CSS and proper CSS by using the box model and so and also apply some styles and you can also retrieve the styles from here and if you require we'll be providing some style what are all the styles what you have to apply for this and all so we'll be having a quick cheat sheet for that particular style applying so if you require it you just let us know so we will provide you that particular document and we'll share it to you. Okay. And this material, whatever the content I have shown you today, so this will be shared to you over the text file after this session. Okay. So any questions, any doubts over here, please do let us know. Any questions, any doubts for today? You can unmute your mics and you can talk to me. If you don't have any questions, you can feel free to drop off and we'll see you in the next session. No, good to go. Okay. I think it is through, if you are having a WhatsApp group for communication, I'll send it through, or else if you are registered with your email, it will be shared to your email. Right? I tried over here. Let me share. It's not showing you the paste. There is no attachment to attach here also, so we will send it across. I think whoever has attended the session, just inform to the organizer. They will share you the document. Okay then, that's it for today. So we'll see you in the next session. And thank you for today.
Thank you, sir.